Hey there, tech enthusiast. Get ready for Tech Ties and Human Vibes, the podcast where technology in the AI era meets the human touch.
Welcome to Tech Ties and Human Vibes. My name is Adam Nelson. I'm your host for today, and my co-host here is Nancy Henriquez with us today.
Hello.
And we have Gerry. Gerry, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, who you are, where you come from, what's going on in your life.
I'm Gerry Dermatol, and I'm the principal of DumaTek, which is a California corporation for 25 years now, and just been in the tech business. I started, of course, with A plus, and now, of course, doing business, with you know. Levels of servicing country, and providing um, technology for safety and security. So that's kind
So
of the
you
stuff I
said
do.
previously we were talking, and you said something about the Philippines, like you're doing some work over in the Philippines. Is that right?
Yeah. So my company right now is a company that uh, that's getting known right now as a company that introduces U.S. proven technologies and methodologies to Filipinos in the Philippines, so Filipinos can get ahead.
Oh,
And
I love that. What drove you to do that?
well, um, I'm born here in the U.S., but I was brought up in the Philippines. Went to one of those schools where prominent schools, just like a UCLA, USC. And exactly that too, because we have a rival as well, in the Philippines. So and basically, going to school over there allowed me, at my age right now, to have great connections in the Philippines, because these guys now are pretty much running the country. The guys I went to school with. So that allowed me opportunity, not only from the level of being able to outreach Filipinos, but at our age, and of course being appreciative of from where we come from, and understand the culture. I created a mission to try to create uh, ways that the youth in the Philippines and Filipinos could get ahead through the technology that I know. So
I think that is
uh,
awesome.
yeah, so the way I do that is I basically talk to companies here in the US. And of course, being in technology for quite some time, I could pretty much tell if something's going to catapult anybody, forward in such a way where it becomes a game changer. So and of course, what I do, instead of asking Filipinos what they want, what they need, which they want me to do, no, I'm here looking at technology of companies that don't have Philippine portfolios. And what that just simply means that, the Filipinos are deprived from this, kind of technology that could basically give them major advancements.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that. So bringing in newer technology. Well, we know that in North America, especially within the US, we tend to be a lot more advanced when it comes to the technologies that we're developing, as well as the business models that we are developing along with that, right? And so that is such a purposeful work in that sense, to be able to then bring that back to a country that needs that help, that needs that lift, ultimately speaking. So that's, first of all, I commend you for that. That's great,
No, thanks.
and that you've been able to find the space within that and almost give back to your culture as well, like that. That's work from the heart.
Yeah, actually, I was telling Adam that 4 years ago, I brought quantum computing into the Philippines through my school, and so just imagine grade, 8 to grade 12 getting taught quantum computing, tapping into the quantum computers of IBM, and
Wow.
so that, we're in 4 years now, so we do have some students and some youth now that know the science, and could are probably continuing and talking about it. And well, bottom line is, having all our alma mater going around with this kind of talent, and of course, sharing it.
Yeah,
So
no, that is great.
I just want to follow along here. You were born in the US, grew up in the Philippines, moved back to the US, and
Hmm.
started a business.
That's
There.
right. So when I left immediately after I graduated high school. And so, but I went to school in the Philippines from grade one to, I mean, from kindergarten
Oh,
to high
wow.
school. And all these guys are guys that, I grew up with, were my classmates. So I'm a golfer, so I play golf, and, I have my friends, believe me, I play golf with that are classmates of mine from grade two, grade three. So
Wow.
so there's a lot, there's some good connections there, and I think that works in every way, whatever school you come from. USC guys, they stick with USC guys, and they have their rivalries, and so we're kind of the same way in the Philippines,
So
where
when you moved back to the US at 18, what area did you move to?
California, right
California,
here.
LA area, or just
Yep, I was in the because that's where my family's from,
okay.
and but when I got back over here, I ended up joining the military. So I
Oh,
was
wow.
in the U.S. Navy for half a decade.
Well, thank you for your service, first of all.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so there
Uh,
I learned a lot of technology.
that's what I was wondering where the technology came from, because the people that I know, and I know this is very stereotypical, the people that I know that moved to LA is like for Hollywood, like for the movie scene of some sort, right? Either they're camera
Uh-huh.
operators, they want to be a movie star or something along those lines. So that's why I was curious on how in the world you ended up in tech, and did you move there to be a movie star? Because everybody's dream is to be a movie star, right?
Yeah, no, 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 nothing like that. Uh, yeah, there's more like I could have still been in the Philippines, but I was kind of not like that. Of course, my parents were kind of saying that I wasn't with the right crowd, so so I got sent to the States. That was punishment. No, so yeah. So yeah, I was here alone. It was terrible. No, but anyways, that's way back when. But my dad got me a condo, so, and then transpo, and then was telling me to go to school, and I was kind of, again, growing up a little bit different in the Philippines. My dad was working right under a senator, so um so we lived a good life in the Philippines. So and from there, of course, sending me back to the States. I mean, and then on top of that, with my uncle who I really love, but was a military man, so he was quite strict, and so he was supposed to teach me discipline and ropes. But I really learned discipline in the military, so I would have to say that being in the military is really what straightened me out. If I were to say anything, but
Funny.
leaving the military with being able to really utilize my mind, leaving, yeah, as a 4O sailor, and having purpose, and then getting out and saying, I don't think I'll ever work for anybody, and immediately getting out and just opening up my own company, doing the work, being able to execute, to follow. All of that comes from military discipline.
I
And
love how certain, non-traditional pathways still lead to entrepreneurship and making a difference. I don't have a traditional background either in that sense, and so I love hearing stories that are similar to mine in that sense, where we may not follow those traditional routes, but we still get here and we're still able to have such an impact with the experience that we bring with us, not just, in technology, but the experience that we have in life, and being able to now bring that and add value because of all of that to our organizations and that kind of thing. So love hearing your story in that aspect and how you got here, to the technology space, and now being able to give back to the country you were raised in and to uplift that. So definitely, I love that aspect of it. Let me ask you, what are some challenges that you see, in bringing the U.S. technologies, over to a different country?
Well, again, the culture is something that, because they have their ways of doing certain things. And if you try to, implement your own ways, it becomes very challenging.
Mhm.
Um, and sometimes you're stuck doing that. You know what I mean? You just have to implement your own ways and and challenge it. But but it's a hard path. So so being able to start accepting easy ways and easy points to pass through, it's sometimes a challenge.
Mm.
You
Mhm.
you see it right in front of you, and you say, "My God, this is an opportunity." I mean, I could just go right through here, and I know I can, and then you don't take it. And no, well, because this is the way I do my business, and you're kind of set in your way.
Mhm.
And so that kind of is challenging for me sometimes to recognize and take advantage of those opportunities that come in front of you. And that's that. And when I, in terms of bringing the technology to the Philippines, um again, the reason why I say the culture is because Filipinos are very proud. Yeah, yeah, and they're a type of culture that you can't do certain things. When I say that, it's like they're not going to, you know, go to a seminar that says this is technology for dummies. I mean, that's really well accepted here. You know what I mean? We
Yeah,
even got
yeah.
books.
So clearly,
Okay.
the verbiage is going to be much different when you do marketing of any type.
That's right. That's right. And the guys here now in the States, they're like, wow, why they like that? Why they like that? You know what I mean? And it's challenging to kind of make that connection, right? Because, and then sometimes, these guys here, they can see they can do it in 3 days, but these guys in the Philippines, but we always do it in 15 days.
Oh yeah, in so my family's from El Salvador, and so very much embedded into the Latin American culture. And as we talk about technology and the evolving, managed services space there, I find that some of those mentalities are some of the same ones that we are running into in those areas, right? Where I think because you grow up in a certain environment, I it's very much the survival mindset, right? And you think this is the way it is, or things can't change, or those kind of limiting beliefs that are included or embedded, so embedded, deeply embedded in our cultures. Do you find that same thing in the Philippines as well?
No, no, absolutely. And sometimes it just steps on people, or you don't realize it, you're stepping on people, you know what I mean, or stepping on businesses or whatnot. Just that, just of course, comes to how actually laws make and break businesses. you know
And I was going to ask, are the MSPs over there, or are there MSPs over there? Maybe they don't use that terminology. Maybe they use something totally different. Are they
No, they
structured
do. They're
similar?
US copycats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Every single word. What's the new word? MSB? Oh, okay. That's what we're gonna use.
Yeah. So have you seen any kind of challenges when it comes to truly adopting the MSP model, since it's very proactive in how you manage systems and all of that, which requires a proactive mindset ultimately.
Yeah. So for me, when I started marketing MDR to the Philippines, uh, for me, I chose the path to get to the educate them and bring it down to like grade three. You know what I mean? Just easy, really easy to learn, and maybe even throw some Philippine slang in there. Yeah, so it has the Philippine touch. I mean, believe me, they would rather see something and laugh a little bit, knowing like, oh my god, I can't believe that was in that. And and that sticks to their minds, when those things happen.
That's the human touch. Like, I think that regardless of where we are geographically, that's always the human aspect of it. Like, we learn as humans, we learn better when there is the humor involved. To when you bring in some of that humanity aspect to what we do, especially when it comes to technology and it being such a logical space in that sense. But you throw in some humor, and all of a sudden, you open up a world of being able to learn and adopt new technologies and what's going on just a little bit easier.
Yeah, the humor, cartoon character. You know what I mean? Comics. Yeah, I mean, this is what they do. I mean, believe it or not, they still look at comics down there. You know what I mean? Still have people publishing comics because that's what the third world country poor people. You know what I mean? So you can see that like on the corners of the streets. Still out there. Well, people don't have computers and stuff like that. But of course, but talking about the tech world of the Philippines, it's jumping leaps and bounds. It is the pearl of the world when it comes to um, human labor, outsourcing, and and that it's the most successful and um, economic growing country right now in Asia. It's the tiger right now, and China and U.S. is fighting over it. Yeah, so, and then of course you can see that Philippines is taking in U.S. bases, and buying U.S., so China's getting a little pissed right now. So, and so,
Can you find the same type of hardware over there that you
oh
can
yeah,
here?
yeah, yeah. So, well, me, because U.S. and U.S. Navy vet and all that. So, hey, you can't blame me for the way I think. When it comes to what China, you know what I mean. So, come on, I'm right out there, and I'm like, wait a second, we're Filipinos, we're catching Chinese spies in like our government and all that kind of stuff, and then wait a second, I'm going to a conference and we got 75% Chinese vendors for like what, our firewalls? Are you kidding me? This is crazy. We busted the spies. Wow, that's a step forward. But what? We got all these guys selling us tech. Well, that's 100 steps backwards. Let's just give them the South China Sea. Yeah, that's the way I feel. If we're going to be doing crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I'm all about, hey, get me the Philippine consulate. Let me talk. Put me on video. I need to tell everybody we can't be doing this. Uh, you know, it's crazy. Do you know if I am your IT or technology or whatever, I also have choice where to park the data? Think about it.
Yeah.
So you guys are crazy. So you want to make sure, but then there are a lot of Filipinos also that are pro China. Because they get a lot of business. We also do trade and all that. So you're always going to have that. Yin and yang.
Yeah.
But
And it's always been a race. It's always been a race, right? Whether it's the space race or technology race, AI race that's happening now, we've always been in that race, especially with China, for sure. So that's definitely interesting to hear it from that side of a country that's close to both sides, ultimately.
so a space that I got into in the Philippines is the rapidly changing intertwining of IT and OT. That is happening solidly right now.
I
Where
don't know what OT is.
OT is operational technology. So we're talking now the
Oh,
windmills, solar energy, all these hydraulic systems now. Actually, we as IT people really don't know those guys, right? Because those guys were like steel-toed boots, you know what I mean? Hard
You
hat,
probably
grease in the nose downstairs in the dungeon, man. These guys never come out. Now they're coming out going, oh, who called us? Oh, management wants to see what you guys are doing. You know what I mean? So now we go like, oh, call IT attach, human interface with monitoring systems. You know what I mean? Let's go see what they're doing down there. Now, when we attach our stuff, it opens them up to attacks because we get attacked all the time, right? You know what I mean? So, and then now it becomes a big security issue. And
yeah,
now we don't know whether the OT guys in the bottom or the IT guys on the top are the ones responsible. Wow, this is big. This is
Yeah, we need to
crazy.
introduce you to, a previous guest that we had on the show,
I was thinking the same
David
thing.
and Vic, yeah, from, Security. So
Uh,
if you go back a few episodes, David and Vic were on and talking about their revolutionary product, that's specifically designed for critical infrastructure,
okay.
that does not allow any kind of, anomalies or changes to be made from the outside world. So that may be something you wanna look into.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very familiar with that space. And the thing is there are ways of dealing with IT and OT when you put them together. And
Mhm,
you also have to know what you're dealing with. So when you're dealing with the IT and OT, when OT is dealing with IT, then most likely you're dealing with cybersecurity. Now, when I say
right.
cybersecurity, that means it's a cyber attack. Okay, you know
Mhm,
what I mean, and not necessarily OT security. Now, OT security is different, right? Because
right.
OT security is like vast, it's big, and cybersecurity, OT cybersecurity is just a portion,
Yeah.
of OT security. And but when you talk about threat detection companies or anomalies, detections and
Oh,
all
no,
that
they're
kind of
not threat
stuff.
detection, so they're a hard wall.
Yeah, it's a hard
They're a
wall.
hard wall that you put in front of, the critical infrastructure systems, like SCADA systems and things like that, to prevent any kind of, manipulation whatsoever of the systems itself. So it completely stops any kind of, cyber
Yeah, it's just
threats or
like a like
anything
a like
along
a
those lines.
firewall or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah,
is supposed to be able to blanket everything under IT and OT. You know what I
right.
mean? And so and then I get it.
Mhm,
Okay, but the thing is, this is the issue. I make a statement in LinkedIn, okay,
mhm.
that no Filipino in the Philippines, get this is a statement, prior to 2025 had an OT asset inventory that was built where all the assets in it were contextualized with metadata that was pertinent to OT security and OT asset management.
Wow.
Is that crazy? So what that means is what that means now is that every single Filipino and every single entity basically is using an OT asset management process and are practicing ways that are labor intensive, that are time consuming,
Mhm.
expensive, manual. I mean, that means, wow, somewhere they're using Excel spreadsheets and drawing network diagrams in order to do proof and presentation. You know what I mean? And so that's
Yeah.
manual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let's talk QuickBooks. Okay. And so now QuickBooks is you might even be using QuickBooks. You know what I mean? So because QuickBooks is kind of like the accounting software. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's
Mhm.
like when we want to say picture, we say Kodak. Yeah, or when we want to say
Yep.
toothpaste, we say Colgate. You know what I mean?
Kitchen
So
sink Kleenex. Yep.
so you know what I mean? And so QuickBooks is that you know That for when it comes to accounting software applications. But think about it when we didn't have that accounting software. My God, I used to send the girls, go to Office Depot, go get the green long book, you know what I mean? Because we can start writing ledgers and
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then after that, well, wait a second. After the month's end, what's going on here? How come we're like off $36? Call everybody in. Call everybody in there for 1 week to find where the $36 is there. My God, so expensive. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, we're not going to go back to that. And when we threw QuickBooks into play, the math went away. Nobody even had to do the math anymore.
Yep,
Okay.
that's true.
So this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a software application that basically engineers that do OTAM in the Philippines now can have a software that will automate their processes. And with a asset inventory that has those particular features, I mean, they don't even know what that looks like. As a matter of fact, when they have it, only then will it open up their their box of wonder. You're like, oh my God, we can do this, we can do that. You know what I mean? It's now when you can basically take the task that normally takes them, weeks or months to do, now goes down to either days or minutes.
Mhm.
You
It's the
know,
beauty of technology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's the
so
beauty and the empowerment of technology.
so FYI, I'm the sole distributor of that product in the Philippines. It's OT based by Langner. Just want to plug that.
Love it, love
That's very awesome.
it.
Very awesome. Well, Gerry, we're really close to the end of our podcast here. And Nancy, do you have any additional questions? I want to make sure you've got all your questions out. And
I got all my questions out, and it's been great to get to know you, Gerry, and to learn a little bit more about what you're doing and the technologies that you're bringing into the Philippines. Like I said previously, I think that's tremendous work, and definitely to
Thank you.
bring the technologies that we're developing here in the U.S. and to spread the love across the world. I think that that's something that is something that's needed, right? It uplifts us all.
yeah, I love your story. I love the fact that what you're doing and how you're doing it. I think it's great.
Oh,
Keeping
thanks.
keeping that communication line open between other countries. I think that's great.
Oh,
Anyway,
absolutely.
yeah. Well, we'd like to thank you and hope you have a good rest of your day. And
Gary,
thank
if
you
if
all
somebody
for
wanted to
watching.
connect with you,
Oh yeah. I forgot to
how
ask
would
that
they reach
question.
you?
Well, yeah, I'm DumaTek, so my website is dumatech.com. I'm Gerry Gerry at DumaTek DumaTek.com. That's my email, and 714-460-5508 is our office phone number. You can reach me there. But what I want to say is, everybody, I'm already of age here, and technology takes a lot out of your body. So I want everybody to watch your health. You know what I mean? Make sure that you get the right stuff. I'm not all about pharma, so I like plugging in my buddy here, who is Delgado Protocol .com, and he's a doctor that gives wellness, and it's something that I endorse. Being at my age and being able to take these things to help you stay healthy.
Thanks for joining us today on Tech Ties and Human Vibes. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, exclusive tips from our speakers, and more, head over to the community at sibylcommunity.com.